Alright, this is 2.3 stem and leaf display lecture. So we're going to learn or remind ourselves how to construct, use, and compare stem and leaf displays. Okay, so basically what are stem and leaf displays kind of used for? Exploratory data analysis. We talked about histograms. Stem and leaf displays are another kind of way of showing data in a graphical representation and have all the data in there. It looks for patterns and trends in things, and then we also can identify extreme values easily with a stem and leaf plot. So that's kind of the idea behind them. Basically, it provides useful organization of data, summary of data. Sometimes in a histogram you lose specific data. Contrary to a stem and leaf plot, it's easy to see all the data, identify extreme values. So this is kind of showing the difference between histograms and stem and leaf plots. Stem and leaf plots are so easy to create. I'm going to show you that in a second. You probably know that. And we gain, initial insight about data quickly is kind of the idea behind it. So to remind you, if you have not or you do not remember, the left number is the stem, the right number or the very last number is the leaf if there's two parts to it. If there happens to be 3, like 103, your stem would be the 10 and the 3 would be your leaf. Okay, so if you jump into 3-digit numbers. Okay, all stems in a vertical column increasing in order. Place all the leaves with the same stem on the same row and then rearrange them in increasing order. You can do this at the beginning, but I like to go and actually make 2 different ones, and I'll show that in a second. And then label everything that you can and make sure you have a key per se, so you know exactly what 103 means. You need to have that key. Okay, so I'll show you that in a second. So let's say we have this data. It doesn't even matter what it's for. It's probably maybe the ages of people that you know somewhere, somehow, some way. Okay, how are you going to make this into a stem and leaf plot? Well, the first thing you need to do is kind of get them in order. So you could do one of 2 things. You can actually take a long time and try to figure out, okay, I'm going to search through here and say, okay, 25 is my first one and so on. I think that takes way too long personally. So this is what I do. If you look back at that other slide, or you have it in your notes, okay, I know 35 is the first number, 45 is the second number. I'm just going to go really quickly and write 45, 42, and so on down the line in that order, super quick. 5, 56, and so on down the line. Okay, and when you get all done with everything, I'm just going to try to speed this up. If you go through them all, it should look something like that. Okay, now this is kind of what the stem and leaf plot looks like, but nothing is in order on this side. What I like to do now is it's a lot easier to just look at these 5 numbers right here and know that it's the 1, the 2, the 2, the 4, and the 5 in that order. So what I would probably do then is you could quickly go the 1, the 2, the 2, the 4, and the 5 and just rewrite your stem and leaf plot. I think this is easier. You keep it more organized. You tend to lose less information this way. Okay, so this is what you really want it to look like when it's all said and done. Okay, the leaves are totally rearranged and you have it labeled. Okay, we have a title, ages of employees, and then we have a legend right here. I know that a 2, the stem of 2 with the line and 5 represents 25 years old. So that's the idea. I know that that is my age, because sometimes that could represent 2.5, or it could be anything from, it could be 25,000. It depends upon what the label is. So it's important to show a title in the legend, and then also what does the 2 or the stem and the leaf kind of together represent in terms of the situation that you have. So that's very important as well. Okay, so another example that I would normally do is, this is the total points scored in the past 35 championship games. Okay, and I'm going to want you to do a stem and leaf plot for it. Okay, so now this is where I would talk about here, your stems would be anywhere from an 8 all the way up to 100 and, what is the largest number? 143 is the largest number, so be to 14. You'd have your line, and then you put all the leaves in here. So you could start with the 13 and go 132 and so on down the line and make it, and then reorganize it into this one. So I took this from the book just to make it kind of quick and easy. So here's an example. Notice there's a legend in there. We have a title somewhere. Okay, and you just need to make sure that that happens. Now I believe there's a note here that says, well, what do you notice about the shape? Well, what's nice about a stem and leaf plot is if you kind of look at it, kind of tilt your head to the right, you can see that this thing is pretty symmetrical. Okay, if you kind of try to put a shape around it, or if you would have frequencies for each category per se, if we think about a histogram, you would notice it's very symmetrical. Okay, so that's kind of in there as well. One note about number 12, which it is talked about in the book, they have what they call back-to-back stem and leaf plots. Okay, and all that is, instead of just having one, I'm going to use this example, this championship game example, they might run another championship game, maybe it's the men's to the women's championship game if you want to think about it that way, and they might run the women's scores on the back side. So maybe the women's scores had 85 and 92 and 105 and obviously a lot more. All they would do then is we'd have the 5 here, a 92 would be here, 105 would be here, maybe 107, and the 7 would be there. And all it does is it goes in order the opposite way. Okay, so the closest numbers, 101 and 105, will always be closest to the stem. And that's just another way of maybe comparing some different situations as well. So that might be an interesting way to compare men's scores to women's scores if you want to think about it that way. Okay, so that's on number 12. And that is all for the 2.3 notes. We will cover this homework in class next day, and we will see you soon.